In this video, I will introduce you to the new Radioddity DB40G 40-watt mobile GMRS radio. This is a brand new mobile GMRS radio just introduced in the last month or so by the Radioddity Corporation. And this radio is designed to be installed in your vehicle or by using a 12-volt power supply and connecting it to an outside antenna. It may also be used as a base station radio. This is a GMRS radio, and for those of you watching that are new to the exciting and dynamic world of GMRS, this means that it can transmit only on the GMRS channels. And of course, in order to transmit on our free and open airwaves using a GMRS radio, our overlords at the FCCs have decreed that thou must first purchase a permission slip, more commonly known as a GMRS license. No permission slip is required to purchase, own, or possess a GMRS radio. You only need to purchase a GMRS permission slip if you intend to transmit with a GMRS radio. The cost for the new Radioddity DB40G 40-watt GMRS radio is about $180 of monies. Affiliate link below. And the Radioddity Corporation did in fact send me this radio at no cost so that I could share it with my vast viewing audience. And as a responsible YouTube superstar, I feel that it is also very important to point out that in order to use this radio effectively, you must connect it to an antenna, which is not included when you purchase the Radioddity DB40G GMRS radio. You may use any GMRS antenna with this radio as long as it is rated for handling at least 40 watts of RF electricities. You could also use a UHF antenna, however, you would have to manually trim and tune a UHF antenna for the GMRS frequencies, which is a lot of work. And although it is probably technically possible, for all intensive purposes, you cannot use a CB radio antenna with a GMRS radio. That is why I, the self-inflicted queen of all that is GMRS, always recommend using an actual GMRS antenna, meaning an antenna that is made for and tuned specifically for use with a GMRS radio. On my Jeep, I use the Midland MXTA26 GMRS antenna, which requires no trimming, no tuning, just take it out of the sack and hook it up. For your convenience, I will leave an affiliate link to my favorite GMRS antenna in the More Information section below. So when you purchase the new Radioddity DB40G GMRS radio, in the box you will receive a mounting bracket and associated mounting bracket hardware. You will receive a microphone mount with a sticky backside for conveniently mounting your microphone. You will receive a power cord. This is not the entire power cord. I had to clip mine off so that I could connect it to the 12-volt power supply for our demonstration here today. But you get the idea. You will receive a user manual. The user manual is very short, weighing in at only about 12 pages long, and it is written in very poor Chinglish. However, it is written well enough to get you up and running and using the radio, assuming you already have an understanding of how GMRS and GMRS repeaters work. If you do not have an understanding of GMRS and how repeaters work, well, then you need to watch more of my videos. You will receive a microphone with several buttons and controls that allow you to basically control the entire radio from the microphone. The microphone has a high-quality type connector that connects into the radio that will not pull loose. I will discuss more about this microphone momentarily. And you will receive a programming cable. At least the product description on the Amazons indicates that a programming cable is included, but as you can see, I do not have a programming cable because mine was delivered with no such cable. But let not your heart be troubled, because I have no doubt that as soon as the overseer of the Radioddity child slave labor camp, where the soft, supple hands of children carefully assemble and ship these radios, once he learns of this digression, the responsible party will be immediately sent for intensive re-education. And you will receive the Radioddity DB40G Mobile GMRS radio. On the radio, you will find a power on and off button and volume control, a few simple controls for adjusting and controlling the radio, a channel changing knob, a CAN button, which is short for cancel. On the rear, you will find an SO239 connector for connecting the aforementioned antenna. You will find a hole for plugging in an external speaker, and you will find a pigtail for connecting to the electrical energies source. And you'll find a hole for the microphone. Although not terribly large, the speaker is loud and clear and easy to hear. And as mentioned briefly only moments ago, the microphone has all the controls required to adjust and control everything on the radio. It has 3 memory channels that you can set to quickly jump to 3 of your favorite channels. Channel up and down, blah, 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 and a push to talk trigger. My wife keeps assuring me that this radio is average sized, coming in at just over 7 inches by just about 5.5 inches by about 1.5 inches. As already mentioned, probably more than once by now, this is a GMRS radio, and as such, as with all other GMRS radios, this radio can transmit only on GMRS channels. However, disregardless of that, it can also receive and listen to anything in the 400 MHz to 480 MHz range. And for those of you about to leave a comment asking, this means that this radio does not receive the NOAA weather channels. The radio is repeater capable, and you can program up to 169 additional channels as either custom repeaters or just other UHF frequencies to listen to and access quickly. But as you can see by looking at the screen, this is a fairly simple radio. And by that I mean that the screen is not busy nor crowded. Neither does the radio have a lot of blinky lights, bells, or whistles. And although all of the radio dorks and experts may prefer more knobs, more blinky lights, and more bells and whistles, us normal people that will actually leave the house and use this type of radio while out driving and doing adventuring will probably prefer the simple and less distracting, easy to read layout. And as I am sure that the experts have also probably noticed, this radio has no cooling fan to suck in dust or spiders. And this is because the entire radio chassis is a large heatsink. So just as with the dozens of other radios of a similar design, no cooling fan is necessary, disregardless of what any experts in the comments section who have probably never even touched one of these radios may try to tell you. As you can see, the radio can listen to 2 channels. Oh, no, I did not almost forget, but I have been trying to cut down on my screen peelings lately, but let's just treat ourselves just one more time. As I was saying, this radio can monitor and listen to 2 channels at the same time. However, that feature can easily be turned off for those that prefer to keep things more simpler. This helps to keep the screen even less busy, easier to read, and even more simpler. In fact, everything about this radio is simple, which is, as I alluded to earlier, perfect for normal people that just need a 2-way radio in their vehicle and do not feel the need to pretend like they are commanding a 747 with all the blinky lights and buttons and knobs. One of the first things I noticed about this radio that I did not like is that all of the channels came preset to transmit in the narrow band. Unfortunately, this seems to be a very common mistake made by many of the radio manufacturers based in China, who apparently do not appreciate that here in America, we like our radios the same way that we like our women. And that is wide and loud. However, this is very easily fixable right on the radio using the very simple menu system, which, as I alluded to only a moment ago, is probably the most simple menu system I have seen on a radio thus far. This radio is not chirp compatible, at least not as of today. So please, if you are watching this video in the future, and if in the future this radio is chirp compatible, please do not leave a stupid comment declaring that I am wrong. Instead, why not use your powers of time travel for good and let us know if, in the future, if they ever release the Epstein Island flight logs. So for now at least, because you cannot use chirp, you must use the Radioddity programming software, which you can download for free from the Radioddity website. The software is very simple and also very easy to use. However, for some stupid reason, the software does not allow you to give text labels or names for the channels, but you can name and label channels on the radio itself relatively easily. However, I should also point out that in the user manual, there is no mention whatsoever of how to connect the radio to your computer with the allegedly included programming cable that I never received. So you'll have to figure that part out all by yourself. However, I would also like to reiterate that you do not need to use the software at all to use this radio because, like all GMRS radio, it works right out of the box on all of the standard 22 GMRS channels, and adding a tone on one of the 8 pre-programmed repeater channels is very, very easy using the very simple menu system that I showed you only moments ago. And I should also point out, to hopefully prevent any confuculation, that just like with all other mobile GMRS radios, per FCC's rules, this radio does not transmit on channels 8 through 14. However, you can listen to those channels. And if this makes you sad, take it up with our overlords at the FCC's. The box says that this radio transmits up to 40 watts. And as you can see on GMRS channel 16, this radio is outputting about 31 watts. And that is pretty much the same power output on all of the high power channels and on the repeater channels. Disregardless of if the radio is on narrow band or wide band, the radio stays at that 31 watts across all channels, which is actually very good compared to many other radios that vary a lot more across different channels. But the big question that everyone wants to know is, how many FARs does it talks? My friend, the answer to that question is that this radio has the same FARs as any other 30 to 50 watt GMRS radio, disregardless of whether it is outputting 30 watts, 40 watts, or 50 watts. The Amazon page for this radio claims that you can get communication up to 40 miles of FARs. However, verily I say unto you that in the right conditions you can easily get many more FARs than that. I am able to use this radio to hit one of my favorite repeaters that is 69 miles of FARs away, and I am also able to hit a repeater that, although it is only about 40 miles away, it is on the other side of a bunch of mountains, which, for a GMRS radio, is pretty good. Overall, the new Radioddity DB40-G mobile GMRS radio is a very capable and yet very simple, easy-to-use radio that, in my opinion, as the self-inflicted queen of all that is GMRS, most normal people would be very satisfied with. And really the only weakness of this radio is that it has no Roger beep.